Something changed in the questions I began to ask. I had always been a seeker, but something changed. My questions became different, deeper, more insistent. I no longer searched for something good or safe. I became consumed with understanding why the world was the way it was. I wanted to get to the bottom of what I felt, the darkness that had always been there, carrying a chaotic force as if it held a secret I needed to uncover. I immersed myself in everything I could find about the world, its structures, its hidden powers, its secrets, anything that promised to lift the wheel between the seen and the unseen. It felt as though I stepped into an invisible reality, a world where something larger than myself was pulling the strings. It wasn't God I sensed, but something else, a force that lured, pushed, and guided me down paths I did not fully understand. And I began to notice them everywhere. Their faces were ordinary, yet they seemed to carry something more, something concealed. They stood on podiums, spoke with conviction, and led crowds that moved without asking why. They weren't just in politics or on the stage. They were in the voice on the radio, in the polished posts, on social media, in the casual advice of everyday people who believed they had understood everything. Follow your dreams, they said. No one can stop you. You are your own master. The words were like a song, sweet and alluring. I believed them because it was easy. It felt good to be told that I needed no one but myself, that I could be my own lord. But deep inside, something felt wrong. Slowly, I began to notice how the messages were shifting. Subtle changes that led us further and further away from something I still couldn't name. Politicians were no longer merely discussing society's laws and policies. They were preaching. They assumed the role of moral guardians, as if they had been given the authority to decide what was right and wrong. It was no longer politics they sold, but a new kind of faith, a faith without God. They preached tolerance as absolute truth, elevated pride into a national virtue, and turned their own self-praise into a public ritual. They marketed products and entertainment during prime time to keep the masses occupied, as if thinking had become a luxury we no longer had the time or the right to afford. The church, once a guiding light, seemed to waver. Priests began questioning what they had preached their entire lives. The foundation of faith loosened, and a silent fog spread, unseen, yet all-consuming. The lies being told were both big and small, but they were never challenged. No one saw lies as a threat anymore. They began to see them as the new normal. Truth became relative. In the midst of this fog, I continued searching, not because I believed I could grasp the whole truth, but because I could no longer ignore the sense that something was terribly wrong. I began to sense that the forces I felt were not merely trying to hide the truth, they were trying to rewrite it. This was not just a struggle over ideas or politics. It felt deeper, more fundamental, and my search would not be in vain, for the darkness, with all its chaotic power, had something to show me. It was as though an invisible pressure had settled over society and no one reacted to it. There was something I knew I needed to understand, but I still could not see clearly. This new way we were told to follow, was it truly meant to lead humanity into something better? Or was it simply a tool designed to pull us away from the truth?